This is the Streamlined Piano Steps series, pattern number 5. This is where you're going to take those scale pictures that you are pretty familiar with now and match those with your mind and your body to what we call a key signature. I'm going to first just show you what that looks like, and then at the end of the video I'll teach you the concept. But just, I'll do it first so that if you need to watch this again, you can get right to what it looks like that you should be practicing. So I'm going to look at my key signature, and if you don't already know that 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp, if you don't already know that from your pattern that represents when you're on D, you have an F sharp and a C sharp, then you could go to the last sharp, which is C sharp, and then you'll go a half step above that last sharp, D. So that's one little trick if you don't recognize that represents the sharps you used for your D scale picture. So the first thing to do would be to determine which scale picture it goes with. And then I'm going to, from my lap, play it. And that's really it. I would also recommend learning the order of the sharps and flats. So maybe at the beginning of your practice, just saying that. I'll go over what I mean by that, what's the order of the sharps in a minute. So let me give you an example of doing this with a key signature that has flats in it. So right away, I might recognize that 3 flats was E flat major, but maybe not, because you have 4 black keys that you're playing here. Those are both E flat, so really it's 1, and then 2, and then 3 different names of flats. But if you didn't know that, the trick for the flat key signatures is that it's the second to last flat is the key. So B flat comes first, E flat, A flat. So E flat was second to last, and that is the scale that goes with that key signature. So this is the key of E flat major. So I'm going to even say that out loud. It helps your brain and body kind of internalize it even better. Say E flat major, and we're saying major because these key signatures also represent a minor scale, and we will deal with that later. So after I say that, I come up from my lap and play that scale picture so I can internalize what that feels like. So that when I see this key signature in reading a piece or learning a piece, my mind can shift to that modality, to that land of E flat major and what that feels like. And we're going to be doing several other pattern exercises in each of the keys to get us even more familiar with what E flat major means and feels like, and all the chords within it and all kinds of things. So, but that's it. So you just look at it, say what it is, play it, and then go to the next. Now, as you're beginning to learn this, I suggest you start with maybe 3 to 5 and do them over and over and over until you feel like you've made some progress in familiarizing yourself with them. And then, as I said, practice saying the order of the sharps and flats. So let's talk about that now. I'm going to find my key signature that has all 7 flats. Here we go. And then I'm going to find my key signature that has all 7 sharps. There we go. Okay, so this is another thing that you can keep in mind, makes it easy. When you see 7 sharps or 7 flats, you just know that all or nothing key is C. So if you have no sharps or flats, which I don't have a representation here, but it would just be C. If you have all 7 flats, it's C flat, otherwise known as B. And if it's all 7 sharps, it's C sharp, which makes sense. If you're on C and you want to keep the same whole step, half step pattern, if you move the bottom note up, you got to move all the others. So they're going to all have to be sharp, or they're going to all have to be flat. So 7 sharps, 7 flats is actually very easy to memorize. It's C or C sharp or C flat is the all or nothing key. But this is a representation of all the sharps and flats that you want to memorize the order of. And when I say order, I don't mean the order that they appear in a scale, because depending on what note you start on, you might hit a C sharp or F sharp and then a C sharp, but in this scale, you're going to hit the C sharp first and then F sharp. So it's not the order you play them in a scale, obviously. It's the order that they're written. And they're written in that order because that's the order they appear in. So let's think about that for a minute. For instance, we have C major with no sharps, but when we go up a fifth, which you've been doing, so this should make more sense to you, we added F sharp. So F sharp's first. Well, when we go up another fifth in our circle of fifths, did we lose F sharp? No. F sharp remained. And then where did it go? I should have these in order. Then we went to D major. So we still have F sharp, but now we've added C sharp. And then when we go to three sharps, we still have F sharp and C sharp, but now we added G sharp. And so the pattern continues. So that's part of the fascinating thing to me, is that by going up a fifth, we continue to keep these sharps and then add another. And then even more fascinating is, what sharp do we add? Well, a sharp that's a fifth above. So there's another fifth going on. So my first sharp when I'm in G is F sharp. When I go up a fifth to D major, I have F sharp and C sharp. Those are a fifth apart. When I go up a fifth to A, I'll go down here, we have F sharp, C sharp, which is down here, but that's up a fifth, and then up a fifth from there is G sharp. So these sharps, as we add more in, one every time we go up a fifth, they are also a fifth apart from each other. So that's a beautiful pattern. For flats, it's the same thing except in a different order. Fascinatingly, the order is reversed. So whereas once we get to the point where we have all the sharps, F, C, G, D, A, E, B, and that's what you need to get used to saying and just knowing is helpful. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Flats appear when we go down a fifth in our scales. Every time we add, they appear in that order. Where's one that has all of them? Oh, it is this one. It's like 6. Okay, so then they appear B, E, A, D, G, C, F, the complete opposite reverse order. So those are fourths, but a fourth is just a fifth inverted. So fifths are really a big deal in tonal music. So enjoy kind of simmering in those patterns and in that fifth relationship, and it's going to all be over your head right now, and maybe it sounded just like a bunch of chaos to you, but as you work with these key signatures and start to really feel and live these patterns, you'll understand them more and more. So don't be worried about it. Just do the key signature, maybe put your key signatures in the order of the circle of fifths, and as you practice them and look at them and say those flats and sharps out loud, you'll start to internalize that pattern. And that pattern just helps you have a holistic feel for the harmonies here on the piano, but also as a way to help you memorize the key signatures, which scales they correspond to, so that eventually you could say, oh, B has 5 sharps, and boom, there you go. D has 2 sharps, A has 3 sharps, you know, just randomly. G flat has 6 flats, and just know it. So if you needed to improvise in that key, or sight read in that key, or transpose something into that key, which are all words you might not be familiar with, but they're all valuable skills, you will have that foundation knowledge that you need to do so. And it won't be hard to just quickly pull it from your mind's library.